Hello, everyone. It's Scotty T, and this is your Comedy Minute. And I have an amazing guy with me. This guy is a writer, comedian, poet, historian, and eater. Chris Strait is here. Chris, how are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing pretty good. How you
What a
doing?
great intro.
Yeah, that was
Eater. I
eater. I
love
had to
eating, man. I love that.
I
I
had to
love
put
that.
that up there. Yeah, no, it got away from me there for a while, but I did drop about 40 or 50 last year, but I still love eating. That hasn't changed. In fact,
Oh,
that's where I'm
buddy, take
going.
a look at me. I'm big as a house. I love to
Yeah,
eat.
no, that's where I'm going from here. It's date day with the wife before I hit the road again after this. So yeah,
Wonderful, wonderful.
just kind
Let's
of
let's start. You're in California, I believe.
yeah, in South Bay area of LA.
Born and raised in that area.
Yeah, no, born in Inglewood, grew up in Culver City, Inglewood area, and
Yeah.
in 50 years of life, nearly, I'll be 50 in January. I've just moved a couple miles south every few years or so. So yeah,
Right.
but I haven't made it further out of Torrance. Still in the 310.
Yeah, and I love the bit you do about that you don't look like somebody that's normally from Inglewood.
No, no. When my mom was from there, it was a white neighborhood, but even then, she was the Gentile girl in the Jewish hill. And then little by little, it slowly changed to being a black neighborhood. Now it's sort of going back towards a little bit of everybody, but that was
Okay.
not my childhood. No,
Um, you've been doing comedy over 20 years.
25, yeah.
Whatever. And and I don't mean whatever that way, but can you
25.
tell people Catalyst what it was? I think I know some of the story, what it was
Yeah,
that
the best way I've heard it, like the analogy I could use, like Billy Crystal talked about the first time he watched a Tonight Show thing was the first people he admired doing something that he could see himself doing.
right.
That was the same kind of thing. Like in the mid '80s, I'd get the comedy albums. I remember I'd been a James Bond freak. I was a Beatles nut. I still love boxing to this day. I know everything about it. But all those things, I knew there was something either physically, mentally, or both missing from me that would make me top level at those things. Like I was definitely not a secret agent. I had no too much shutting up in that job, but didn't have the right body type to box the high level. But yeah, the first time I started listening to those, Cosby and Bob Newhart and Smothers Brothers, and then later on Pryor and Carlin, those guys. It's like I didn't have a lot of confidence about many things when I was a young person, but I looked at them and I went, no, I can do this at as high a level as is possible. So yeah, I had confidence in myself there. I think like these people. That was my first thought.
You performed all over the US and all over the world for that matter. I mean,
Yeah,
you
no, well, and
performed.
cruises will take you all over the world. I've been doing cruises mostly since 2018, but you're still performing usually for at least an English speaking or an American crowd mostly when you land. But I every so often like to perform for the actual people if there's an English speaking
We're gonna
aspect.
get to that polyglot.
Yeah,
we're gonna get
yeah.
to that. We're gonna
Oh no,
get to that.
I can't do my act in another language though. But yeah.
Okay,
Oh
okay.
no. But yeah. But Switzerland, Iceland, Ireland, and Brazil, and it just in 2023, I had a little bit of savings, and I'm like, I don't need to make money on it, but I wanted to just go perform there, and it went well for the most part. I think I was going a little too fast for the Sao Paulo crowd, but the Rio
Sao
crowd,
Paulo.
yeah, I don't think their English was as good as they thought
Brazil,
when they bought
Brazil,
the
huh?
tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, but Ireland, Iceland, that was all fun
Do you? I
times.
was gonna ask. Do you have of everywhere you've played?
Mhm.
In U.S. wherever. Do you have a favorite place that you played?
Honestly, as far as like the clubs in
A favorite
LA,
place that you play wherever?
yeah. Well, no, I'd say probably my favorite road room when I was on land was the Comedy Showcase in Houston, which isn't there anymore,
Yeah.
or the Throckmorton Theater in Mill Valley, California, which is a great little theater there. Those are the
Okay.
places I probably worked the most and loved. As far as like a region or a location,
Whatever. No.
yeah, oh no,
I know
but
you're. I know you're
that's
a fan of the Houston airport. I think.
oh well, that's the weirdest thing. I mean, I put up my act on TikTok,
I know.
200
I
views
look. I will
if
move
I'm
on. I'm
lucky.
sorry. You're gonna find out I'm an idiot.
Oh no, but yeah, I put up my act there, but yeah, but I filmed for 12 seconds going, look, couches, they're actually letting you lay down instead of buying coffee and laying on the hard floor. That gets 400,000 views. So I've kind
I'm
of
gonna
become
put up all the links. Yeah, it doesn't make any
the
sense.
airport reviewer on TikTok. And
Well,
they're still
yeah.
telling me what to do in
Listen,
Alaska. I'm like, I
we're
left a
jumping.
month and a half ago. Yeah.
We're jumping around, but my God, we have you eating burgers, a Bojangles chicken sandwich. We have you
Yeah,
eating a
that
damn.
didn't
We
get a
have you a
ton
damn
either.
McDonald's double.
Yeah, people don't necessarily like me chewing, but they like it better than my act, I guess. Yeah.
let's try and get this thing back on the rails.
Oh yeah, right.
And only because I like to see, I'm patting myself in the back here. Polyglot.
Yeah,
There are a
yeah.
lot of people that don't know what that means.
No, I didn't either until I started doing it. No, when I was 40, I said, that's enough of this. I want to finish learning Spanish. I kind of kept getting there slowly, both with
Right?
classes when I was younger, there were, watching TV or following, in boxing or soccer. Soccer was my family's kind of sport, but I was around it. My brother and my daughter. But so I was always around Spanish and took to it well. And then I took a trip with my ex-wife about almost 10 years ago now, and I was kind of functional when I was around it in Colombia. I'm like, you know what, let me try this again. I'd kind of gone off the road. I'd taken a day job. I was kind of almost getting out of comedy. Then the next year, when we got a divorce, part of my midlife crisis was getting back into comedy, and another one was languages. And by this time, Duolingo was a thing.
Yeah.
And when I went to try to take a second Spanish class, it was full, and there was an Italian class next door. And I said, you know what, let me try this too. In 4 years, I completed Italian Duolingo, which all that does is load the library. The speaking practice still, it's hard. Spanish is easy to practice. Everywhere I
Well,
travel, I can practice that. But Italian and German is hard.
polyglot, for people that don't know,
Yeah.
and the reason I brought it up, because I'm an idiot, was because you're not the first guy to be on my show that's a
Oh, really?
polyglot.
Who was the other? I'm just kidding.
Brohan Kwan. I think he's from
Oh, okay.
China, and he
I was
knew
just
like
going to say that the name sounds like he might have
he
had
knew
some of
he
it
knew he
forced on
knew
him.
four
Yeah.
languages. No, I think he knew 4 or 5 languages. What do you have? Four?
I've got four BS. I was monolingual until I was 40, and I've got four that I can have conversations in. But in Italian and German, it's really only a functional ability. Like I can get my point across, and I can understand them if they slow down.
Well, the other
Spanish, I'm
the,
not fluent, but I can have conversations with people who can't speak English.
well, and that's another reason because I can barely speak English.
Well, we start too late. I mean, our kids, we start them at like 14 or 15. These countries, they start them at 5. I had a comedy club host on a Carnival ship recently. Kid was an Angolan, Portuguese, German, and he spoke 8 languages
Yeah,
fluently.
yeah,
And he's
yeah.
half my age. Yeah, yeah. So it's just insane how much more of a priority they make it in those countries.
Yeah, no, and you're right, Brohan Kwan. I think he had 12 languages
Oh, geez, that's good.
from China.
At my age, you'll never stop thinking in English, which is the real thing. Unless I lived in another country, I'll probably never be fluent. But
I
because the bar is set so low for expectations for
yeah, you're
Americans, if you can speak anything at all, you're a hero to these people. And
thinking
traveling around.
Trump, thinking Trump.
Yeah,
14 books on Amazon.
yeah,
And it runs from presidents to food to travel to psychology to boxing.
yeah,
And I got to tell you, part of that is I love boxing.
yeah. No,
And
it's
and you
yeah.
used to be when you were a kid, you were a boxer.
Yeah, no, back when I was a kid, like the MMA craze kind of put fighting gyms in nice neighborhoods. But when you and I were younger, if you weren't
Oh my
willing to go to the
God.
ghetto, which my parents didn't really want to do, so I'd put gloves on and just box with the kids in my neighborhood. And I did that off and on for about half my childhood. Probably had well more than 100 matches with no headgear, cup or I don't know what that would be later. But yeah, then I was 15. I was at the Broadway gym in and out, and at 19 and 20, then back again at 25. I was kind of in and out of gyms, but only really had official fights a handful of times. And then I went back this last year and did some masters boxing and point boxing. But when you're almost 50 and feel it too, some of these guys are in great shape for 50. You need to be working out. Boxing is one of those things you got to be putting in 5 workouts a week, and I was putting in that many a month. My schedule just wouldn't allow it with all the traveling. So yeah, I finally got my skull a bit, not literally cracked, but on this last fight in May, and I'm like, you know what, I got some hardware in the trophy case. That's enough. I'm going to step back now.
I've
But
never
but
told
I
I've
was
never told anybody this, but
yeah.
you mentioned it. My dad bought boxing gloves for us kids.
Yeah, no, it was more of a mainstream sport back then. Everyone wasn't afraid of. I mean, now they're afraid of
I
football
beat
too.
the
But
shit
yeah,
out of my brother, my older brother.
oh, I got on my knees with my little brother every time I'd babysit him, and I taught
Yeah,
him how to
yeah.
do it. Oddly enough, he never became a fan. But I mean, of boxing, not necessarily of me.
I know.
But no, but yeah, no, he. I still am a fan to this day. I definitely am built more as a commentator, and I was even a ring announcer once. But I've done
Yeah, no, I
commentary
have
on a
that written
few
down. We'll
channels.
get to that. But
Oh,
I guess the question, as far as the books, they
yeah,
run such a wide gamut. In other words, from historian, presidential
yeah.
stuff to eating the fast food to, you know,
Yeah, no, all my passions pretty much. I got a master's in clinical psych, so I wrote some of the stuff from that perspective. And yeah, food, just, I did one of LA that was a little bit more South Bay and
yeah,
West Side centric. Most food books
right.
about LA are all Hollywood and the Valley. And then I did one that was just fast food review from a road
Yeah.
comics perspective. So because half
That's
the
why I
time you're
watched
eating,
those videos on Instagram. I
yeah,
was like, oh my God.
yeah. And no, and the poetry thing was more. I did that under a pseudonym, which was
Alan Kimball. Alan
yeah,
Kimball.
that's
I got that
my
written
middle
down.
name and my mom's maiden name, which is a popular way people
Yeah,
do
I
that.
wondered why. I wondered why you switched up.
I just I don't know, just kind of it was a side venture, and I didn't necessarily
I,
want.
I
It
was going
wasn't
to
a
say I
secret.
thought it was either really good or really bad. You didn't want your
Yeah,
name.
no, I mean it's all short form. It's nothing. I mean, there's even some limerick kind of things in
Right.
there. So but no, I wrote a few of those, put them out there, and I kind of got started mostly on that when I was getting out of my last day job. I'd just be goofing off at my desk writing it, and then the next two I mostly wrote. Well, the middle one I wrote when I was on the ships at first in 2018 and 19, and the last one was just I did nothing but haikus while the COVID
Yeah.
pandemic first started, and I
Okay.
haven't really written a poem in probably 5 years.
Do you have any other books you plan on, or did they just come?
No, I mean, like I said, the presidential one was the most recent, and I had a government where I sort of wrote a mock-up constitution, just like what would actually work. I was a presidential historian, kind of. I got a bachelor's in history. That was kind of a concentration for me. So, and I have a couple travel books too, but I've really kind of covered one or two books in every area of my expertise, and even boxing. It's more just like they're individual categories. Like someone who doesn't know a lot about boxing could read it and learn more, but they're both about 10 years old now at this point. So, I mean,
Okay.
if the muse should strike me, I've got time during the day on ships to write something else. But as
Yeah.
of right now, I really haven't had,
Well, you
I've
keep
kind of
jumping.
covered
You
everything.
keep jumping ahead. We're going to get to Francis Di Lorenzo and the ships, but you keep
Yeah.
jumping ahead. You're pissing me off now.
Francis. Okay. I don't even know where
We're
you're
going to
going
get
there.
to that at the end.
Oh, okay. No,
You've
I
been
didn't even
on
know that's
TV. You've been on TV,
yeah.
not only doing comedy, but as we mentioned, you were announcer in boxing, CBS.
Oh, yeah.
You really
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
love boxing.
Yeah. No, I do. And I mean, that was one of the things where if I couldn't become a stand up, I would have loved to have had, Jim Lampley's job.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But I'm
What?
not in town enough. The last couple ones I did were on UFC Fight Pass. Doug Fisher, the editor of Ring Magazine, was my co-anchor, but I had to miss one to do a ship, and then Tom Loeffler replaced me with somebody else. And then when I was back in town, he'd already kind of replaced. So it's one of those things where you got to be around more than I can be.
Okay. Um, do you want to talk? Let's do the specials. A
Yeah.
dry bar special, which I've had a number of people, Jan Karam
Oh
and
yeah.
different people that have done dry bar specials.
Mhm.
And do you want to talk a little? You got to be really clean. You have to be really clean, right?
Yeah, but see on the ships you kind of have to sometimes too. And I sort of
Yeah,
when I was a club act, I was a PG-13 guy. I never really paid attention if my act was clean or dirty
right.
because you don't really need to as a club comic. I'd done some corporates here and there, but just through attrition, I realized I got an hour that you can do and call it PG clean. I've got about and the best half hour of it I did for that special, and I've also got about an hour and a half of it that I can do dirty. You end up saying it's like, wow, I've got hours of material if I really dig it up. And the ships do keep you sharp. So it was no challenge to be that clean. And what they tell you, and maybe some of the other dry bar comics have said this, is that you can actually go a few places if you want to,
Yeah.
but there's no guarantee. The way they set up VidAngel, this is a Mormon backed thing. So a lot of them
Yeah.
will be clicking on categories they don't want to hear about. So if your special is
Divorce. I
2
heard
minutes, day,
divorce. You can't talk about divorce, certain things.
yeah, yeah, and of course, I have been divorced, but at the time,
I know, I know. So have
I don't
I.
think
I
I
tell
had,
you, I
I
tell
don't
you,
think I
it's
had that
rough.
much clean material about it, Scott. If I'm being that honest, but no, so it didn't come up, and they were a great audience. In fact, in one of my shows, a woman her laugh is so high pitched and shrieking that I had to address it, but they filmed you twice. So they said, "What do you want to name
Yeah.
the special?" I go, "Well, which one are you going to use?" Because the better audience was that one, but I do have to address it. And they said,
It's,
"Well, we think
it's,
you
I
handled
think
fine."
wait, let me see if I got it right. It's what,
Yeah.
laugh until you stop breathing or something.
Laugh till you run out of air. I don't even remember what the other
Yeah.
name was I gave him. I said, but if you air the first one, call it whatever names or something. And if you name the second one, call it this. And on different platforms, obviously, Dry
Oh, is it
Bar is
named
on
different?
Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, and
it's on its own website. Yeah.
there's
It's on
another
Facebook.
open.
It's on YouTube.
I just had Peter Berman on, and he has an
Yeah.
open bar special on, and
Yeah.
yours is called Big and Raw.
Big and raw. Yeah. Just because the picture I used is me holding a tomahawk steak. My wife's a classically trained chef, so she made that for my last birthday.
Oh
But
man, I love it.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, but she was but no, I recorded that in Sarasota in December. That's a much more recent one. The Dry Bar was October 2019.
Right.
But yeah, the open bar, they're still kind of building their footprint.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
obviously it's less of, I mean, the LDS community in Utah, they've got money. They wanted something that was just for them, and they market it very well. I've gotten paid more for that than I have anything else. But Open Bar, they're recording a lot of specials. I like what they're doing, and it was a way to get other material out there for people as well.
Wonderful. No, it's great. I like I said, I'll try to help out anything I can do.
Oh no, I
That's
appreciate that.
two, Peter Berman and you. I'm a
Yeah, no,
champion of open bar.
yeah, no, I'm sure there's other people you
I
interviewed probably had it. Just didn't
literally,
come up yet.
literally.
Yeah.
Favorite show that you've done and least favorite show? Because I'm an idiot, by the way.
Oh,
Favorite
that's a
show
favorite.
is easy. Your favorite that you've done. Oh, I'll give you a couple. Do a couple of your favorite, and then do one that didn't go so good.
Oh, okay. Favorite shows that I've done. Well, I got when it comes to like favorite, there was. I mean, there have been
Just,
times, especially
I don't mean to put pressure. Memory, favorite memory, anything, whatever
yeah,
you
yeah,
want.
fair like memory of that. Well, I say yeah. In again, that's tough to narrow it to one. I'm bad at a favorites guy, but even just this last week, like I say I was sick. I was dealing with stuff at home, and an audience can really bring you up. And I had a recent
Right,
experience with that where like I had the good. I mean, it's already the show that they like the most that I do. I do a kind of a race and culture thing, which nowadays people really appreciate if you'll go there because everyone's so tense. So that I do this show and it was crushing and it was killing even more than normal. And it was like I didn't feel sick, I didn't feel pain, I didn't feel stress. That was one of these, and that just happened a couple weeks ago. Some of the other best memories I've had are like at the Throckmorton, they would have, guys that live up there like Dana Carvey, Robin Williams back in the day, 10, 12 years ago, I'd be the announced headliner, but they'd have someone like that or Mort Saul or Richard Lewis, coming back
Mort
off that
Saul,
stage. Yeah. And
Richard
seeing those,
Lewis, man, man.
no, Shelley Berman, those guys. And I mean, those guys, and Taylor Negron when he was, rest in peace. Those guys, having those guys sitting there. I mean, once after I got after one set and I had done a theater shooting joke pretty soon after the theater shooting, which was kind of
Right.
risky. And I got off stage and Robin Williams is looking right at me and his words, he goes, "You got fucking balls, man." And that quote was on my website for years. "You got fucking
That's
balls, man."
funny.
I was like, yeah, because they're announcing him as the surprise guest, even though, to people that lived up there, it wasn't a surprise. They knew he lived there and dropped in. But
So Robin
yeah, no,
Williams said, "You got fucking balls." That's pretty
"You've
good.
got fucking balls, man." It was one of my
That's
favorite
wonderful.
quotes
That's
of
wonderful.
anybody else. Yeah. And shows that didn't go well. I mean, I think most people have their show, and I'd be no exception because I used to run bar shows. It's when the crowd doesn't know there's even going to be comedy. That's
Right.
always usually one of the worst. So I'm not really counting them because that's nobody's fault other than just organizers or
Right.
marketing. But there was a ship show because I used a ship show for one of the best too. Uh, that I
I'm
remember
trying
the
not to
first
laugh and say shit show.
shit show. Well, no, the ship show became a shit show. And some of these, like, I mostly work Carnival, which is a good mix of a lot of things, but I like Princess and Holland and Celebrity every so often. But if you get on one of these long ones, like a crossing where everybody's retired, the average age is deceased. Like that's the average. Like people are planning on this being their last cruise. And I've been happily
Life alert salespeople.
exactly. No, and I've had those be good shows too, and happily surprised in some of the greatest audience. But this third time I ever even worked Princess, I flew to Dubai, and I'm only going on a 7-day leg to Sri Lanka and flying home. And literally, my agent's exact words when I asked what to expect from the crowd, he said, "Some of these you just do for money." So they have one port day out of the 7 days I'm on this ship, and that's the night I'm going on. So these 80 somethings are tired. They've been in Muscat, Oman all day. And yeah, and it's not even all American too. They're old English people who hate American comedians and old Chinese who don't understand me.
You're killing
Old
me.
Australians who and old Americans who were my few laughers that I had. And it's a 45-minute theater show. I go out and already the cruise director and the dancers who went on in front of me are warning me that they're dead. And if they can tell, those people are liquid energy. If they can tell they're dead, what is my deadpan ass going to do? So I walk out, do my opening line. I don't even remember what it was because I'm tunneling through the rest of this. I do my opening line. It gets a few titters of laughs. And I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go after the crowd if they're not good because that doesn't help anything unless you're like they already like you and you're super
Right.
likable. So I just remember going, and I just plowed through the next 45 minutes in the occasional titter of laughter. It was just enough laughs that I couldn't call it out, but it was, I mean, I went through probably an hour of material in 45 minutes. The 9 o'clock was even worse. It was such a bad show on a ship. I was convinced Princess would never have me back. Of course they did, and I did much better on their other ships. But yeah, I didn't even let them see me. And Princess, you're a guest and a crew member. You can eat down, you can eat up. So of course we go eat the good food with the passengers. For a day and a half, I did not see the light of day. I didn't even want to go up there and
Didn't
run
go
into
up,
anybody.
right?
So, because on a ship, if it's bad, you're still on vacation with these people for days.
Yeah,
So you got to run into them constantly. I mean, imagine like a bad show on land where the crowd followed you to your job the next few days. I mean, that's essentially what these people are doing.
I sent you a video. I don't know if you watched it. Jesse Egan was on,
Yeah, yeah. So where
and
the kids go,
Jesse does a great bit about that.
yeah, no, and the kids, that does happen sometimes. That now that they've even made it on Carnival where the host warns the crowd. I see a lot of kids here. This is not kid material. It's just a PG show. Literally have to warn the audience, like, this is not babysitting. Don't drop your kid off and run someplace else. You know, because
What about Blues Clues, kids?
exactly. Yes. The extent of my connection to that is I have a stripy shirt. If that'll keep you shut up in the seats, then fine, I'll do it. But
Stripy
no,
shirt.
oh yeah, no, and I mean,
shirt.
yeah, I've got a stripy shirt like Steve, and I might disappear early the way he did. That's about the only thing I have in common with Blues Clues.
Let me ask you one last thing. We got to do a couple quick things. Do you have advice? You've been doing comedy a long time. For young
Yeah.
kids that are starting out, advice for somebody just starting out.
Well, I would say make yourself as employable in different genres and different levels and different demographics as you can. Remember,
Okay.
this is not respect your own art, write for you,
Right.
but perform for them.
Okay.
Meaning create things that you're excited about, but be honest. You know, if they're not laughing, I mean, what I'll do for the final minute is, you know, a couple things that I didn't think were particularly that brilliant, but the crowd loves them. And the
Right.
opposite is true too. Lines that I love, I think the crowd is going to like, and they're like, huh, that's not really there. No. And so, I mean, even after 20,
You're speaking. God, you're hitting me with
oh
gold.
yeah, no, it's
I do
entirely true.
every
It's
day.
like,
I do it every day. I put up a
oh,
joke, and it breaks my
I
heart.
Yeah, no, it's, you're right. As I said, so write for you so it remains an art, but perform for them so it remains a business. I mean,
Okay.
write everything you can, but once you got a half hour clean, market to people who want that. Once you got a half hour dirty, market to people who want that. It is a business. Now, you can become a TikTok or Instagram sensation with only 10 good minutes and some crowd work, but there's no future in that if you don't stay famous. And a lot of these guys they're going into clubs with 10 good minutes. They're bringing it's like so and so and friends, but that doesn't last. The club owner lets you pack the house once, then your people see you don't have a live show. They'll stay fans of yours online, but they're not coming back. So
Wow.
before you monetize you, make sure you are worth monetizing.
We're going to get to your comedy minute in a second, but I want to say thank you because you really are an amazing guy.
I do appreciate
I
that.
want to say thank you to Francis DiLorenzo, who set this up. And we talked a little about the cruise ships. And I know she does a lot, you do a lot.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that, it varies from, because Lester Bibbs, I have a lot of people that I work with now that do cruise ships. And I won't name names, but some say you during certain cruise lines, good, other not so good.
Well, they each have their pluses and minuses. Like, obviously, like Carnival, I think, has the best crowds on the water, but it's the roughest experience for the comedians. I mean,
Yeah.
they put you're a crew member there for them to save money, and I like what they're doing. They're offering cruising to the working class, so that it's
Okay.
a very good. But it does create a feeling of lack sometimes when it's not even necessary. Like there's corners that are cut that aren't necessary. And little by little, the comedian crew cabins got a little bit smaller, and it's not.
Okay.
So yeah, Celebrity and Princess, I love the food on those lines. It's amazing. I love
I'm
that
not,
you'd only work 2 nights out of 7. You get a great guest cabin, but you don't have another comedian with you, and you're kind of lonely a lot of the time.
yeah.
But the crowds might be kind of quiet, even if they like you. They might be retired and just kind of quiet. Not all the time. I've had great crowds there too,
Yeah.
but it's they each have their own way of balancing out that there is no. If for my money, there is no best and worst. It just depends on which metric are you using to measure it.
Yeah. Well, if there's nothing else, I mean, I want to make sure we covered it, and I did my best. Look,
Yeah,
I
no, that
wrote
was
down
I
that
I
much. I
no, and
covered.
I can go. I mean, you kept me reeled in nice, but I can
I
get cranked
no,
up.
and in other words, like the food alone. You go to your Instagram. When Francis said you got to, and I kept watching these food videos. I thought, what is this? And now I get it because of the books, and The
Yeah.
different, yeah. As I started with before I started recording, you're an amazing guy.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah,
Between the books and you were a teacher and, you
yeah, I
know,
did a little, teaching for side stuff. Yeah, like I said, during, I've always had to have because it was just hard. I mean, living in LA has just gotten so expensive, and both my ex-wife and current wife don't have like regular basis employment, so I've had to oftentimes have side hustles. I was a casino booker. I still do have some
yeah.
casinos here and there, and just the costs of living here have just gone,
Oh my God.
through the roof. Most of the comics I know that are able to make it as a one income thing, either they don't have kids, or it isn't one income. Their wife has a decent job, or they just live someplace that isn't crazy expensive. I've had none of those things, unfortunately, on my side. So I've had to create other ways to make money. No, and I worked in
Sorry.
real estate. I
I'm
worked in
sorry,
auctions.
Chris.
No, it's true. I mean, it's just what I mean. I'm my family. They're great, but I mean, nobody could have anticipated what my grandfather paid $9,000 for in 1959 being worth 1.8 million now. I mean, that's literally what happened to the 3 and 2 he bought back then. It's a
Yeah.
$1.8 million house with no one adding on to it. I mean, it's just that the prices of living and New Yorkers tell me the same thing, and people in San Francisco. It's just to stay in the neighborhoods, you've got to have inherited a house, lucked into a living situation with tons of money, or be willing to live paltry to stay in the area. So yeah,
Paltry to stay in the
yeah, that's the way I put it.
area. I live in York, Pennsylvania, and I couldn't be happier.
Oh yeah, no, there it is. I'm a proud weather wimp though from California. I don't do snow, so yeah, it's
Oh no, no. Well, this is where I was born and raised.
yeah, no, and
And
that's
I've
the
been
thing. If
I've
you're
been in
used to it,
30 or 40 of the 50 states, been out of the country, but I'm happy to
yeah.
be back here.
Well, my ex-wife's family was from Philly, and I loved going back there, loved visiting, and I've been to all 50 states.
Yeah,
But
no, you've been
yeah,
all
no,
over.
there are things you get spoiled about with California
Well, it
for
just
sure.
doesn't cost. The point I was making,
Yeah,
it doesn't cost me. Here's and we're gonna get to your comedy minute, but I'm excited that I'm gonna get a free turkey for Thanksgiving if I spend $200. Oh,
I'm sorry, the
hey,
cat's
look.
walking across the
Oh my
screen.
God,
Yeah.
that was great. We could have said hello.
I don't know. She gets got that wasn't even the one I warned you about. That's a different one. But yeah, they're so not used to me doing this in the house.
Okay.
No,
Well, let's do it. Let me get you off and you can get going.
no
Uh,
problem at all.
Again, thank you from bottom of my heart. Come back anytime.
Yeah,
Send
yeah.
me any
This is
comedian.
Rose.
There you go. Hi, buddy.
That's Rose. There's 6 of them here. 6 rescue cats
Okay.
in my house.
What was
Yeah.
that guy's name?
No, that's Rose.
Okay.
We're both Golden Girls fans, so there's Dorothy, Rose, and Blanche. There was a Sophia, but she decided to stay a street cat, stay outside.
Okay. Well, we're going to do it. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
Hang on. Chris Strait, your comedy minute. Go ahead, my friend.
Well, yeah. People ask the hardest part about being a dad. I'd say from the beginning, you got to name a new human being, and I mean, names are trendy. They come and they go. I mean, one day we're going to have grandmothers named Brittany. Nobody predicted that. That's going to be my grandma Brittany, who lives with Grandpa Hudson. It's just wrong. And we give kids last names as first names now, and everything is like Jackson, Taylor, Tyler, Tucker, Mason, Morgan, Connor, Carson, which makes the kid, when you say his full name, sound like a walking law firm, which you don't think about. That is pressure. I mean, a kid named Logan Flynn can't dig ditches. He's got to run for office. And I realized something because I travel around. This is strictly an American problem. I've been to Mexico 100 times. You know who I've never met? A guy named Lopez Gomez.
Lopez Gomez.
Just hasn't taken off in that culture.
Okay. Lopez Gomez. I wouldn't know what to say to him.
No, I would get it wrong the same way I do with these kids. Are you Jackson Tucker or Tucker Jackson? What are you, Gomez Lopez? I'd get it wrong.
Lopez Gomez. Oh, my friend, that was great stuff.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me.
I will say this before we go. What I love about you, and I'm not that smart, and again, I'm not. I'm dumb as a bucket of rocks. But you are so intelligent, and
Oh,
your humor is so intelligent. I just love it.
Well, I appreciate that. I love the best compliment the crowd will give me is when I've on purpose tried to make the topics as dumb as possible, and when they still say that was really smart stuff, because that's good. Because if I can write stuff they view and they know is intelligent about things that are topics everyone can reach, then I'm really reaching everybody the best way. because I don't want to see, I don't have a Bill Maher, Dennis Miller thing where I do well looking like I'm kind of above the audience intellectually, but I also don't do a very good herf derf, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I don't have an aw shucks. There's a lot of comics I know that, I mean, Nate Bargatze is the best at it, a very smart man who comes off as aw shucks.
Yeah.
I don't have that either. So if I sound like your history teacher, so I'm going to sound educated. So if I can do that about drinking, fucking, farting, and fighting, then hey, I'm really reaching a lot of people. Yeah, there's some people that's what they want to hear, but at the end they're like, no, that was a new take on drinking,
I
fucking,
think
farting,
that's a
and
new
fighting.
George
Then,
Carlin. Drinking, fucking, farting, and fighting. That's a new George Carlin bit.
He would happily go from an atheist rant to time for a few fart jokes and would literally say it. So
I love
it.
it.
That's
Drinking,
that's
fucking,
kind of what
farting,
I
and
shoot.
fighting. That'll keep me up tonight, Chris. That'll keep me up tonight.